Hey guys, it's Brindley Tucker. Take two. We're going to try this a second time. It's a good thing we were only a few minutes in. So if you missed the first one, don't worry. You didn't miss anything. So welcome to Breakthrough with Brindley, where we're just going to talk about things every week, every Monday night here live on my Facebook about things that are going on, mostly about how I have what steps I've taken to make some major changes in my life, but also professionally, personally. People are starting to ask for topics for me to cover. And so I'm really excited about spending these Monday nights with you. Tonight, though, our topic is something that is very near and dear to my heart. And kind of what prompted it was a young woman reached out to me after a conference recently and said, Brindley, people in my world just don't think big enough. And I don't think that I'm surrounded by the type of people that I need to be that are going to expand my thinking so that I can grow. And there's a quote, Jim Rohn stated that you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And so really her question was, Brindley, I want to know, how do I change my 5? Or how do I continue to top grade my 5 so that I'm always thinking bigger? I'm always surrounded by people that push me. And so we went to dinner and this was our conversation. And I just loved how intentional she was in seeking me out, how respectful she was of my time when we were there. She really asked the right questions, really made sure that I felt that I was adding value to her life, that it wasn't just, just dinner or just meeting for fun. And so what I'm going to do today is I'm going to talk a little bit about the process that I went through to change the people in my life that I was spending time with to where I am today, because over 8 years, a lot of time has gone by and a lot of people have come into my life. A lot of people have gone out. A lot of people have stayed. A lot of people have come back. It kind of reminds me of that song, make new friends, but keep the old. One is silver and the other gold, because that's kind of what it is, right? Like we want to have new people in our life. It doesn't necessarily mean that we have to get rid of the old ones. Sometimes we just need to bring new ones in to help us think at a higher level. So for me, the first relationship that was probably the hardest for me to change when I decided that I wanted to change my life and change the direction that I was headed in was my partner in life. He and I had been together for, it was about 7.5 years by the time that I decided to make some changes. And I remember coming home one night and I shared with him what I had learned in recovery and that I wanted to change my life and that I wanted him to change his too. And at the time, he was not in a space or in the place, or maybe he was just honestly just sick and tired of me and all of the chaos that I had created in our world. Yet he didn't want to make the same changes. And so this was a really, really hard decision because I was financially dependent on this person. I lived in a home with this person. So if I left a financial security blanket. I left a home, and that's a scary thing. That's a really scary thing. And so that was the first decision that I made. And the one thing that helped me make it the most was the support system that I had. And I had to seek that out. I had to seek out people in my life at that time that were supportive of this decision and seek their guidance on how I could overcome it. And for me, it actually meant at 32 years old, I moved back in with my mom into a small 2-bedroom apartment. Yet at that time, I was willing to do whatever it took to make changes in my life, to be surrounded by the people that I needed to be surrounded by that would support my growth and would support the direction that I was going towards. So that was the hardest one. A lot of people ask me, Brindley, how did you let go of the current people in your life, friends, family that didn't necessarily support your decision? Now, I kind of see family and friends as 2 very, very different situations, because friends, you choose your friends, you don't choose your family. And sometimes family can be a little sticky. Friends can too, but family can be hard. And so for me, unfortunately, at the time, a lot of my family didn't want to speak to me because of what I had done and what I had gone through. And then there were others that I had to set some boundaries, that when they came into town, that if they stayed in my home, they weren't able to do certain things. They weren't able to keep alcohol in the home. They weren't allowed to have people over. So there were certain boundaries that I had to set to say, in order for me to protect myself and make sure that I'm going to stay on the path that I'm on, I can't be surrounded by these things. And what's amazing is that all of my family, there wasn't a single one that didn't support me. Every single one of them honored my wishes. Every single one of them was there to support me throughout it. It's just a lot of times we don't ask. A lot of times we think we already know the answer, or we think that someone's going to get mad at us if we ask, when in reality, for the most part, people want to help. For the most part, I choose to believe that people are good, especially our family, and that they care. And then the ones that you can't, you may have to take some time away from them. And that's okay too, because God will heal all wounds if it needs to be. They'll come back. And that goes for friends too. There were quite a few friends in my circle that were, they were people that I did things with, that got me into a lot of trouble. And they were people that I really cared about. And I had to get real honest with myself. And then I had to get real honest with them that, this is where I'm headed. I want to make these changes in my life. And I can't be surrounded by people that are partaking in certain things. And I can't hang out in places where certain things are happening. So there's a saying that we always say that if you sit in a barbershop long enough, you're going to get a haircut. Well, for me, if I walked into drinking establishments or bars, I would eventually drink. And so that's where a lot of my friends hung out. So I had to put things into perspective. And again, put myself and my future and my growth and my life and my own, ahead of my friends at the time. And what's amazing is that the people that were supposed to be in my life stayed, and the people that weren't didn't. Yet some of them actually came back later. And I was able to be a better friend to them, and they were able to be a better friend to me. So it may seem like right now it's a really, really hard place to be in, is to go to a friend and say, hey, we're just not on the same page, and it's taking a lot of energy from me, and I'm going this way, and I want to grow, and I need to be surrounded by positivity. I need to be surrounded by people that are doing the same thing. And I'd love for you to be that person. And if you're not, that's okay too. Now, in some situations, people will pull away slowly, and they'll start to see your growth, and they won't be comfortable being around it. And they will have to move on in other areas. So just know that everyone that is meant to be in your life will be in your life, and everyone that's not won't be. So don't look at it as a breakup. Just think of it as a pause. That you're pausing this relationship for right now because you need to go and focus on yourself and focus on growth. Now, one of the most beautiful things about changing your 5 and starting to surround yourself with the 5 is that when you start to identify the people that you may want to kind of start to pull away from, you open space for the new folks to come in. I was just talking with my coach this week, and she said the most beautiful thing, that everything new requires space for creation. So creativity, creation, it all requires space in order for something new to be created. Therefore, we have to clear the space of the old in order to bring in the new. And so people ask me all the time, okay, Brindley, so you changed your old, but now I see you've got some friends that are pretty big thinkers and doing some pretty amazing things. How did you end up surrounding yourself with those people? There's 2 funny things that I like to share because they crack me up. Number one is my friend Rachel Adams Lee called me one night, and I think this was I have to say it was probably 2 years ago, a year and a half ago. And it was the first time we had ever talked on the phone. And she said, I just had to talk to you. And I said, okay, Rachel, why? And she said, because everyone keeps calling me and texting me and saying, who is this Brindley Tucker girl? And where did she come from? Who is she? And Rachel's response was, I don't know, but I love her because she's intentional about her relationships. And that's really what it was. I was super, super intentional about the people that I wanted in my life. And recently, someone was called and asked about me, and the person said, how do you know Brindley? And their response was, I'm not really sure how I met her. Brindley's just really intentional about creating relationships. And it's the truth. And I'm not going to lie. I stalk them until they say they're going to be my friend, or until I annoy them so bad they never want to talk to me again. So I'm not saying that to say that I was chasing, but I was like, these were people that I wanted to be in their world because they were where I wanted to be. They had the growth that I wanted. They had something that I wanted. I remember the first year that I started setting intentionality around finding the relationships and bringing the people into my life that I wanted and attracting them. I spent a lot of money, like a lot of money, most people's annual salary, in traveling around the country and going to classes and getting in the room with the people that I wanted to be surrounded by. And slowly, those people started to become my friends. They started to become my mentors. They started to become my confidants. But here's the number one thing. And I think that most of them would agree on this, is that I never, ever, ever asked for them to give me value without me adding value to them. And there were a lot of people that I spent free coaching hours with, that I spent time with their teams, that I some of them I went and took care of their kids. Like, I'm not kidding, I babysat. Like, I did things that added value to them so that they could see that I was serious about wanting them to pour into me. And I knew that if I didn't have those people pouring into me, I wouldn't have the growth that I had. And I have when I was preparing for this, I almost get emotional because I have been so lucky in the last 8 years to have some pretty incredible people pour into me. Now, some of them have stayed in my life. Some of them are still in my life. Some of them have taught me lessons that they don't even know that they've taught me. Things that I've learned after relationships have ended, things that I've learned through relationships, a few that have passed. I had a very close, the last close male partnership I had in life. I learned a lot. He died in 2016, and that was devastating. And I've been able to use that experience to help others. And, I learned lessons through that. And although we weren't together at the time when he passed, going through that with his family and mistakes that I made there. So every single person in our life teaches us something. And just remember, they may not be there. They may not be meant to be there for the whole journey. They may just be there for a chapter. Yet, if you really want to be surrounded by the people that you want to learn from, you're going to have to go out and seek them. You're going to have to go out and add value to them. And that's what I loved what she did with me Friday night, was she promised she wouldn't waste my time. And she didn't. I can tell you that it was probably one of the best dinners that I've had so far this year. We laughed and she asked questions, and she really made me feel as if she was soaking up the information. And those of us that want to help others, that's what's important to us. What is it they call someone, I think it's an ask hole. They're the people that ask you for advice, but they never use it. Like, don't come to us and don't go to the folks that you want to go through and grow from and ask questions and then never use it. So I hope that this is helping you to understand that you can exit with some of the relationships you have in order to create the space to bring in the new people that can help you grow and help you think bigger. Yet it's going to take action on your part to go out and seek those relationships. Now, I will tell you the final kind of important thing I think that happened with me that I want to share is that one of my best friends, Ashley, who's now my best friend, her and I went to high school together, and we lost touch after high school. And we reunited at our high school 20-year, yes, I just aged myself, 20-year high school reunion 2 years ago. And we reconnected, and we have been pretty much inseparable since. And I always tell her that she showed up in my life at the perfect time, because for the last 20 years, I would have not been able to be the friend that she deserved, and that she would not have wanted to be friends with the person that I was. And that God brought us together at the exact time that we needed one another, because I needed her and some of the things that she does in her life and her spirituality that she's been able to share with me. And she needed me to kind of take her out and have some girls' weekends and have fun. And so just remember that the right people will come into your life when they're supposed to. Now, for those of you that are with Keller Williams, I will leave you with this. I wanted to talk about this week because we're headed to Dallas on Friday, and you have an amazing opportunity to network and to connect with people. So my question is, who have you reached out to and set up coffee with? Who have you reached out and asked, can I buy you dinner? Can I buy you lunch? Can I buy you a cup of coffee? I promise to come very intentional with the questions I want to ask. if you show that you are intentional and that you really are going to add value to them in order to receive value, people will want to meet with you. Also, just keep in mind that a lot of people have busy schedules. So maybe you can't meet with the rainmaker of the team, yet maybe you ask the rainmaker, hey, is there someone on your team that I could meet with or that you think would be willing to meet with me that I can share some of our success with and they can share some of theirs. You don't always have to meet with the rainmaker or the business owner in order to gain knowledge from what's going on inside the business. So just remember that. I love you guys. I'm so excited. This is our 4th episode and I'm getting some really positive feedback. What I'd love for you guys is that if you have topics you want me to cover or if you have questions, I'm sure someone else does. So just private message me or put them in the comments even if you feel, or you can text me 727-512-9098, 727-512-9098. Have a great week. And for my KW folks, I'll see you in Dallas. Bye.